Hey guys, welcome back. So in Chapter 12 of The Mandalorian, an episode that I thought was going to be a total filler episode in all honesty, it actually turned out to be one of the most intriguing episodes of the whole series. It changed the direction of the show. It went from a fun, go here, do that in every episode to, holy crap, what's going on here? Who's in that tank? Like, what is this? It added so much depth to the show. The Mandalorian, just like the Clone Wars and Rebels, now has given itself an opportunity to add some serious Star Wars content to the big picture, into the Skywalker saga. There was so much to break down in this episode, but there are a few things in particular that I want to go over. But first, like always, before we get started, if you haven't already, remember to subscribe, as the channel is still very young and every little bit helps. Now, let's get into today's video. So the scene that I want to focus on today took place in the supposedly abandoned Imperial outpost on Navarro, when Greef Karga, Cara Dune, the Mithril from Season 1, and Mando all broke into the base in order to destroy it and the high-powered weapons it was housing, therefore securing Navarro as a safe Outer Rim trading post. As they were escaping, we saw two Imperial research officers blast a control board, shouting about how they needed to destroy it, how they would rather destroy their research than let it fall into the wrong hands. The group quickly disposed of them, but then found out what they were trying to protect. In front of them were several Bacta tanks that contained some sort of life form inside. They looked very similar to the Bacta tank that we saw Vader submerged in during Rogue One. Also the tanks that were in The Rise of Skywalker when we saw, Snoke in those things. Cara pointed out the obvious, that this wasn't a military base, but was actually an Imperial lab, and that they needed to find out what was going on here. So, the group hacked into what was left of the terminal and uncovered a message recorded by Dr. Parshing, who we last saw in the first season of The Mandalorian. The doctor started off by saying, "Replicated the results of the subsequent trials, which also resulted in catastrophic failure. There were promising effects for an entire fortnight, but then sadly the body rejected the blood. I highly doubt we'll find a donor with a higher M count though. I recommend we suspend all experimentation. I fear the volunteer will meet the same regrettable fate if we proceed with the transfusion. Unfortunately, we have exhausted our initial supply of blood. The child is small and I was only able to harvest a limited amount without killing him. If these experiments are to continue as requested, we would again require access to the donor. I will not disappoint you again, Moff Gideon." And then it cuts off. Okay, so there's obviously a ton of stuff to go over there, and we're going to break down several theories just about this one scene alone. Okay, so first off, obviously the donor that, they're talking about is Baby Yoda, is the child. He's of Yoda species and obviously would have an extremely high midichlorian count. I think this is the reason why Gideon wanted him so bad. I used to think that the child might have been a clone or was, something unnaturally created through the Force, but now I think that he's just a normal 50-year-old child that, just happens to be part of Yoda's species, nothing more. The reasoning behind this is, if the Empire did create Baby Yoda, or if the Force, somehow unnaturally created this, really powerful Force child, then why would they be struggling to create another Force-sensitive being? Now, this again puts Baby Yoda into a dangerous spot. I feel like for the past few episodes, he's just kind of, been there. He's been relatively safe. But now again, the heat's on. The pressure is there. People are looking for him, and Gideon is coming. We now know why Gideon wants him so bad. He needed his blood. Blood that contains a high midichlorian count, or, M count, in order to try and extract it to create something, or to create someone. So who or what could the Empire be creating? Obviously, the first person that comes to mind is Emperor Palpatine. This was made even more obvious by the music that's played when they first enter the room with all the tanks. It's very similar to Palpatine's theme in Episode 3 when him and Anakin are at the opera. So again, just another little clue that this could be Palpatine. Now, just as Palpatine left orders for Operation Cinder to take place after his death, perhaps he left another order for work to be done in order to bring him back. Obviously, Palpatine returns and he's alive sometime before The Force Awakens. This was confirmed in The Rise of Skywalker when we heard Palpatine admit to, being the one who created Snoke and seduced Kylo Ren to the dark side. So the Mandalorian could explain how he came back. This would also make sense and follow the Legends storyline as well. In Legends, Palpatine had several clones of himself located on the planet Biss, and we actually saw a Bisson, a native of the planet, earlier in the season. But yeah, Palpatine had several clones of himself to which he transferred his life force using a dark side power known as Essence Transfer. So he has done this in Legends, and perhaps in canon, Moff Gideon is attempting to make a livable and capable vessel for his Emperor to inhabit. It would be a difficult process to make a living and functioning body that could, hold all of Palpatine's dark side power. We even saw in The Rise of Skywalker that he wasn't fully himself physically, but more of a crippled form. So in The Mandalorian, we could see the beginnings of this process. We could see, Palpatine come back eventually. Another theory is that this is Snoke. It's a little less plausible because if this was Snoke, then that means that Palpatine's already back. I mean, they wouldn't focus on creating Snoke before they brought Palpatine back, right? But, I guess this could also be Snoke, as ordered by Palpatine to, maybe create a dark side Force user who is more physically capable of carrying out his will than the now crippled body would be. We could see Snoke be born and perhaps, start the earliest formations of the First Order. Honestly, don't think it's Snoke, though. The last theory I have is one that I would actually love to see. This could be, Moff Gideon either trying to find a way to give himself the Force, or to create a powerful Force user, kind of like a Force, dark side super soldier. Very similar to how Starkiller was in The Force Unleashed. Now, the actor who plays Moff Gideon, Giancarlo Esposito, has hinted at the idea that his character might be Force sensitive in the past, saying he may be one of those people. So seeing Moff Gideon attempting to create an unnatural Force power in himself and actually do it would be really cool to see. Then again, if they do decide to go the whole, Force super soldier route, I think it'd be cool to see a Starkiller type character. And if they cast Sam Witwer as him, then, all the better. All in all, I think that Palpatine, or a potential vessel for him, is in the tank. With the music, the timeline, and Moff Gideon's devotion to the Empire, we can assume that he's doing everything he possibly can to bring back his beloved Emperor. I am so excited to see how this goes. I would love to see how they brought Palpatine back. It'd be a lot better to see it than just, have him randomly thrown into Episode 9 like they did. Hopefully The Mandalorian can not only add to the sequels, but, also make them a little better. Only time will tell. Well, that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments below who or what you think is in the tank. And if you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe for more Star Wars content. And remember to forever be a Star Wars fan.